This is a special report from Horns and Hooves Entertainment.
Hey everybody, it is Tom from Horns and Hooves Entertainment, Buffalo After Dark co-host, and we wanted to come on and just give you the opportunity to be on the air with us tonight for a little bit. Unfortunately, and actually, Bob's going to be joining us here in just a moment, so we're going to get everything going. Hey man, so welcome aboard. Unfortunately, we have some bad news to deliver everybody.
Rick Jeanneret sadly passed away tonight at the age of 81.
Yes, so unfortunately, we do have that news. If you guys want to give us a call, we're going to open up this forum for a little bit. Obviously, we didn't plan it, but we wanted to give you a place where you can at least vent a little bit about it and share your favorite RJ memory. But if you want to jump on 92920560099, we do have everything here on Facebook, and of course, we also have just actually gotten some special reports on the news here on TV. So basically, here's what's going on. So RJ did pass away tonight at 81. Buffalo News has broken the story within about the last 25 minutes or so. And then since that time, the Buffalo Sabres have now confirmed it on their website. And also Channel 4 in Buffalo has just reported it as part of their 10 p.m. newscast.
You know what? I feel kind of bad about the situation because the last 2 years or so, I made that joke. And I mean, now that it's come to reality, the joke is dead and I can't really say it anymore. I mean, God rest his soul. You know, he's a legend in Buffalo for sure. And I've met him a few times at the Coliseum, and I met him once at the Coliseum, or not multiple times. I met him at the Garden over 10 years ago at one of the hotels down at the Garden, whatever. And he was just a great guy as a whole. He really was. And my favorite fond memory of RJ, I would say, is the mid 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. That's easily my favorite RJ moments, like from 06. Now, do you believe these guys are good, scary good? I love that.
Yep. Yeah, another good one I can remember, of course, there was the infamous Mayday call. We all had that. There was the Dave Hannon fourth overtime goal. So I definitely remember that one. Of course, Pat LaFontaine. Mogilny back in the day. There's so many calls I can look back on. And then, of course, RJ got to go out in a good way with Middlestat scoring that overtime goal to send him out. So just so many good memories. And I actually had the chance to run into him. I want to say it was it was either last year. I think it was last year around this time when he was actually doing some autograph signings out at a Wegmans in Amherst. So I had the chance to get a chance to see him, and of course it was pretty cool. He had that license plate Sabres RJ, so that was awesome. But no, he just did so much for this team, and it's just I mean, that's a huge part of Sabres history, to say the least. But here's what the Sabres site is saying. So they did confirm, and he was the longest tenured NHL broadcaster. Basically called games from 1971 up until last year in 2022. And from that, he's a member of the Sabres Hall of Fame, the Hockey Hall of Fame, by winning the Foster Hewitt Award in 2012. He's a member of the Greater Buffalo Sports Hall of Fame, Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame, and the Township of Terrace Bay, Ontario Sports Wall of Fame, as well as an honorary member of the Bare Knuckle Boxing Hall of Fame, which I never even knew that.
RJ, like I said, RJ created so many memories for a lot of Sabres fans, especially from when I grew up. You know, he was just a wonderful human being, a wonderful guy. And RJ is going to be forever missed. I mean, that is definitely for sure. He's probably made so many defining moments. I mean, the list goes on. It really does. I mean, you have the Legion of Doom call, which is my absolute favorite. Then you have the, like I said before, these guys are good, scary good. I love that one. And then I'm trying to think. There was a lot that I could go over, but no, it was just, it's sad that he passed on in life. But I always tell people, when people die outside of anything, including here, is don't be sad because it ended. Be happy because it happened.
Yeah, it's and he's going to be remembered for so many great moments, and that's one of the really good things that we'll get to see. And And of course, we will get to relive those calls, as time goes on, and we'll also get to. I mean, I'm sure we're going to hear plenty of that as we go forward, and of course, with the new season coming up, I know I can already guess right now that they're going to do some special stuff for him for the home opener. So we'll definitely see that, obviously. But even thinking about some other things that he's done previously, just trying to think. Well, of course, we always had the infamous top shelf for Mama Hides the Cookies call, the scary good call that you mentioned. And it was interesting because Ted Darling was the original broadcast commentator on the TV side, and RJ actually did a lot of the radio side. But he actually ended up taking over for Ted Darling after he passed. So it's just one of those. Everybody knew who he was, and undeniably, I would have to put him up as one of the greatest commentators of all time for any sport.
I would say definitely in the top 50.
Yeah, I mean, just the way he could call a game and the way he could make you feel exactly what was going on. I mean, with today's group of commentators that's out there, not many can do that.
No, I mean, Rick was just as authentic as anybody at that point. I mean, and he's been doing this for 5 decades. So that's a hell of a long time. But yeah, I mean, eventually Rick was, as later in life progressed, he started to deal with some health issues. Like he had throat cancer, I think, at one point. And and it was just revealed that he had multiple organ failures. That's to why RJ passed. It's not because he was old. It was because his body was deteriorating. So at some point you knew that. And he also had a stroke on television a few years ago. I remember against Anaheim, and he just had a stroke in the middle of the game. And then it was just, obviously, I think anybody in their mothers knew that at some point that he was going to retire at some point. I said this a few years ago. I said this maybe 2 years ago. I said, and as a joke, of course, I said, he should have retired 5 years ago. That was what I said. And people got mad at me for it. And look what happened. He didn't really get a chance to really enjoy retirement. And unfortunately, it came down to the point where his health took a big toll on him, and it just completely disintegrated to him. I mean, I'm not sending any bad juju or anything. It's more just the fact that he, was dealing with health issues even after he retired. And it clearly showed. But, like I said, he had a great career. He had a great life. He had a great, children, grandchildren, and he had a great family. Of course, the Sabres. He had a big impact on that city for a long, long time. And I think for anybody, even when our children and grandchildren grow up, they're going to always want to know who Rick Jeanneret is. And I think he'll be forever immortalized in the city of Buffalo. And I think what they should do is they should throw his ashes onto the ice, or at least into, KeyBank Center, and let it live on forever.
Well, I don't know if that will happen, but actually, Rick Jeanneret's family came out with a statement within the last 20 minutes also, and this was retweeted. So it says, on behalf of the Jeanneret family, it is with extreme sadness that we announce the passing of our beloved husband, father, grandfather, and brother, Rick Jeanneret, Hall of Fame broadcaster for Buffalo Sabres. Rick died on August 17th, 2023, with his family by his side after a 2-year battle with multi-organ failures. He will be loved forever. So, I mean, Twitter is literally, or if you want to call it X, whatever its name is now, there's a lot of stories that's coming out, and Mike Harrington was actually one of the first to bring out the story tonight. But the other thing that another call I could even think of is Game 7 in 1997. We had Derek Plant on a couple years ago, and the overtime goal was also a memorable one as well. So
Legion of Doom, yeah.
Yep. So I know that was one that you ended up referring to. Sportsnet's also reporting it now. So Kevin Adams has also come out with a statement as well in the last 8 minutes, and it basically says, growing up in Buffalo, Rick Jeanneret was not just the voice of the Sabres, he was the voice for our city. He helped foster my love of hockey along with so many others. Beyond the booth, Rick was an incredible man that was loved by all. His wit and humor was unmatched, and we are all lucky to have known him. I am heartbroken by his passing and send my condolences to his wife, Sandra, and all of his family and friends. May he live in peace. So it's so we're going to start seeing some more comments from the Sabres itself, and probably some of the different players, both past and present. And even Howard Simon had mentioned him briefly on Twitter as well within the last 10 minutes. And he mentioned him in the same echelon as Van Miller, the voice of the Bills, who passed away several years ago. So it's yeah, just it's one of those nights. I mean, you lose a very, very big time legend in sports, and it's something that it's always tough to see it. But of course, I mean, eventually, of course, we all move forward and time moves on. But it's always good to look back on some of the great moments that we've had, both past and present.
I don't think I've ever seen a bigger icon in Buffalo than Rick Jeanneret. I don't think this is the biggest. Like, to me, this is probably the biggest loss in that city, maybe since, like, I want to say since Ralph Wilson, when he passed away a few years ago. Like, Ralph Wilson was up there in age. We all knew that, but he was going to eventually pass at that time. Rick Jeanneret, I figured he was going to live for another few more years, but I didn't think he was that sick. I didn't know that his body was really deteriorating that quickly. But people in that city will never forget RJ as far as what he was able to bring to games and bring, people to come to, KeyBank Center or HSBC Arena or whatever you want to call it. No, the fact that he was the architect of, being the voice of the Sabres, he is the Buffalo Sabres. If you ever want to, take it into consideration, people will say, yeah, we have Pat LaFontaine. Yeah, you have Gilbert Parole in the French Connection, but no, nothing ever comes on top of that than Rick Jeanneret.
Yeah. Very true. And he's definitely one of the big ones that we'll definitely remember around here. I mean, of course, we had Ralph Wilson's passing. We had the Knoxes passing away several years ago. At that time, of course, Seymour Knox.
Yeah, but that was like 30 years ago.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. And of course, the plaza outside of the KeyBank Center is known as Seymour H. Knox III Plaza now. So I mean, that was renamed way back. But Rick Jeanneret, he was the face of the Sabres, essentially, just like Van Miller was the voice of the Bills when he passed, and that was a big thing back at that time. So it's just I don't think a lot of people expected it this soon, to be honest. But I mean, this was like hearing about the multi-organ failure. That was actually the first I had even known about that. I mean,
you and me both.
We didn't even know about it. I mean, we knew that there were some issues with throat cancer in the past, and I know that RJ had worked like a limited schedule because of that back at that time. But yeah, this was the first I had even known that was the situation.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is, like, not funny, haha, but just funny as the situation has folded is, I thought, because I saw the note on Instagram, I got a notification. I was sitting next to my wife. And next thing you know, I open it. I'm like, oh, somebody died. Because I didn't really know what it was because it was such a tiny print. I open it and it said, rest in peace, Rick Jeanneret. I'm like, oh no. And the first thing I said was, I'm going to hell. And she was just like in disbelief. She's like, babe, you literally made a joke about this like 2 years ago. I'm like, I know, but I didn't literally mean it.
Right. I was saying, Andy ripped you a new one for it back at the time.
I am going to fucking hell, Tom, no matter what happens.
Yeah,
I'm going to hell.
Yeah, and I want to say we're getting some real-time comments here on our Facebook chat. So of course, if you guys want to jump in and join us, we do have the Facebook chat up and running with this video, and then we also have our Zoom line up and running too. So you can join us online, or you can call in 929-205-6099. Meeting ID and the password's all there. But Trainer ends up commenting. He says, "Sorry for the loss to all of you Sabres fans." And then John Hagel actually commented. He's followed us for all the way back to our Blue and Gold Mafia days when we ran that page. He says he's upset at NHL Next Network. This should be a story that should preempt all broadcasting, but they haven't even mentioned it or even put a breaking news banner on their site.
To be fair, it just happened, so I would give it time. I think people have to realize that
literally within the last 30 minutes.
I mean, it's definitely not going on CNN. I can tell you that.
Right. Yeah, but literally it was just this story was just broken within the last 30 minutes. We just put it up on our site within the last 15. And then the same thing, Channel 4 out of Buffalo just confirmed it about 5 minutes after we put it up. Sportsnet out of Canada just confirmed it probably about 10 minutes ago. So it's really the story is just getting out at this point, but I'm pretty sure NHL Network will likely have some type of story later on tonight.
They definitely will. I mean, Kevin Weeks just posted it on Twitter saying, we're deeply saddened about Rick Jeanneret and all that stuff. I mean, it's not like we're completely oblivious to this. I mean, there are people who've been watching hockey for 30 years, maybe longer, who've been following the team, and they realize and acknowledge, hey, I've been listening to Rick Jeanneret my whole life, and it would be like I was starting to get accustomed to Dan Dunleavy. Not to say he's bad or anything. I do like Dan Dunleavy, but as far as Rick Jeanneret goes, it's almost impossible to not think of the team without mentioning him. It's like the equivalent of like saying you can't mention the Baltimore Ravens without Ray Lewis, or you can't mention the Los Angeles Lakers, for example, without Chick Hearn. The late Chick Hearn. It's the same thing.
Absolutely.
There's always that one icon in every sports team, especially all across North America, in Europe even, who have those icons. Buffalo has Rick Jeanneret. They have Ralph Wilson. There's no in between. I remember this happened like a year or three ago when Tom Seaver died from COVID. Everybody within Mets Mania went berserk when he died, and it was just a madhouse. Everybody was going crazy, sending out flowers and stuff like that. I would not be surprised, and honestly, I think it's for the best. I wouldn't be shocked if there was a memorial, at least like a little wake that was taking place outside of KeyBank Center. I would not be shocked.
Yeah, it very well could be. I mean, and actually, all of the local media stations are now reporting it. So, Channel 2 just reported it. Channel 4 is starting that with the top of their 11 p.m. broadcast, and I know Channel 7's broadcast will start shortly as well. And then just also let you know, here locally, Spectrum News is also reporting it now as well. So it's definitely getting out there, and as the news has become more public. But the other thing I will say too, NHL.com just announced it as well. So they did just put that information up, and they did link to the Sabres news release that was on there as well. So that's basically where they're at. But it's one of those, for everybody. And John also comments. He says, "I've been a Sabres fan since 1970, and RJ is the Sabres in my opinion. He's like Van Miller was to the Bills, and he's 100% right. Van Miller is the voice of the Bills, just like RJ is the voice of the Sabres."
Right. Like, I think I was a little too young to remember Van Miller, but I did watch a lot of his highlights. Because when I started watching football, Van Miller was just ready to retire at that point. So I didn't really get a chance to really watch a lot of Bills games because I was so accustomed to watching the Jets. But, everybody has different aspects of how they watch games. But Rick Jeanneret was no excuse for me because I was able to get Sabres games at the time. Right. And Rick Jeanneret was always the guy that would always be behind the mic. And he would always be the guy that basically prep people up for the games and always come in with a smile, and he's always having fun. And I remember watching the documentary about him 15 years ago when it came out, and he said, "The day I don't have fun, I'm hanging it up." So that's basically what he did. So he kept going until he was ready to drop, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and he wanted to do it his way. Actually, surprisingly, Channel 7 in Buffalo is not reporting it yet. They actually started off with the story of the new Costco coming in. Interesting. They'll probably throw something in there later, but interesting how every single other media outlet reported it first. So,
yeah.
Anyways, but then again, well, they might just be a little behind here. But for me going back, I mean, so I go back to 1982 when I was first a fan of the Sabres and grew up with them. I actually was lucky enough to see games in the old Odd before the building was torn down, obviously. And then, of course, the team moved to the KeyBank Center in 1996. So it was interesting where I got to see games in both places, got to listen to so many legendary calls that he's done. And it's just one of those where, I mean, like we already said earlier, I mean, we knew this day would come at some point, unfortunately, but we didn't expect it to be at this point. So
I kind of predicted it if you think about it.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I'm not trying to laugh. It's just funny how it came out. Like, literally, I'm not even kidding when I say that. I genuinely, literally took it as a joke, thinking he was gonna,
Right.
just, because I was trying to get a reaction. I wasn't trying to be funny. I was just trying to, say, oh, obviously he was gonna die eventually, but I didn't literally mean it that way. I literally thought that he was gonna live until he was like a little bit longer, but no, unfortunately, that's why I feel kind of bad about. That's why I feel bad about it, because I did make a joke about it and I feel terrible about it. So I do
Yeah.
apologize for that now that it's officially happened.
No, there you go. And actually, for those in the Buffalo area too, just so you know, get ready for strong and severe storms, because I just got the alert on my phone, and we're going to be seeing that going over the next about half hour, 45 minutes. So just watch out for that. But anyways, getting back to the topic here, if you guys want to call in, we'll stay on for probably another few minutes or so. 1992056099. If you're one of our longtime Sabres fans who's followed us and you want to talk about your favorite RJ memories, we're here. Obviously, we're going to give you the forum to do so, and then from there we'll just fill you in a little bit more about any news that we find out and just some different reactions. But so far, other than what we already know, there really isn't too much else that has come out just yet. I mean, obviously, we're going to find out more as time goes on, but there's actually another call that came out. Ryan Burgess, who we've had here on our site in the past, and he was actually working with the Buffalo Buttes for a while. As basically, he mentioned his favorite RJ call of all time. Jeanneret had missed from above the circles multiple times, the offensive zone faceoff. Lawrence says Jeanneret couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. And of course, Jeanneret wins the draw. He scores from the point, and RJ said he hit the water. So So that's a good one. And actually, Channel 7 Buffalo is just reporting it now too. So all of the local stations have now reported it, and basically they're also showing between now and 1 a.m. We're going to have some strong to severe storms come through, and there is some hail involved with it. So if you guys are in the area, just obviously be careful with that. Stay safe. But that being said, that was his favorite call. And of course, one of the other big time memories I remember the bench clearing brawl with Ottawa and the Sabres, and how Lindy Ruff was trying to fight the coach.
What, against Ottawa, that
Yep.
game?
Yep.
It's funny because I actually remember that game. The funny thing is I was at the Bahamas when that game took place. So I didn't really get a chance to watch it because I didn't expect it to happen at the time. I don't think anybody did really. And then I remember coming home from the Bahamas with my family. I was 14 at the time. And I remember coming home and I said, wow, what the hell did I miss? And so I watch it and I'm like, wow, I really missed that. I really went on a family vacation just to miss this shit. So that's basically what it was. And it was so intense. I remember that.
Right. Yeah. And then even a lot of other media personalities here in the area are starting to get their opinions out too. Kelsey Anderson, she almost broke down when she was bringing this news out around 10:40 tonight on their 10 p.m. newscast, but she ends up tweeting out, rest in peace to a true legend. He was sort of the guy you always thought would be around. I'm so sad he never witnessed a Stanley Cup come to Buffalo, but I'm so glad the city celebrated RJ night when we did, and he got to witness the impact he had. Man, this one is tough. Well, she's definitely right about that one.
Well, that's what I mean is that, it's sad that, I was saying before, don't be sad because it's ending, be happy because it happened. It kind of reflects on his time and it reflects on his legacy in Buffalo, no matter what happens moving forward. As I remember, like I said before, I remember, I think this is the biggest death in the city since, because I have no relation to Buffalo, but I do follow the teams, and that is obviously, I think this is the biggest one since Ralph Wilson when he passed away. I wouldn't be shocked either if this happened with Marv Levy, because Marv Levy, God bless him, he's still around.
Yeah, just turned 98.
Yeah, God bless him, man. That's a long time. But for RJ, RJ is a legend. No matter how you subscribe it, it will always come out that way. That Rick Jeanneret did not only a lot for the city of Buffalo, he brought some great memories, and he got people to talk about him for years to come. Even in the year like 2060, when you and I are in our 70s and 80s, it's always going to be Rick Jeanneret that comes back to us. And it's always going to be that redefining moment of what he was able to bring to the city. And what he always had a charm. That was the thing about Rick Jeanneret, is that he always had a charm with him within every game. He was always a guy that never took his job seriously, to the point where if you compare that to other broadcasters, they always try to be too focused and too conservative with their jobs. RJ was very hang loose guy, kind of like the Stan Lee of the situation. Like he was the Stan Lee of the Buffalo Sabres, where he came up with all these calls, and he always made games fun for people to go and watch. Even if you were there in person, you would always look back on it, and you would just go and watch VHS tapes or DVDs or whatever you have, and you can watch the voice audio of Rick Jeanneret call those games, and it would be like, wow, this is some insane shit that he was able to attribute to those games. But I didn't expect to be making a video at 11:15 at night.
Me either. I mean, actually, I know I was expecting that we were going to do one next week when I'm down in your neck of the woods visiting. So I knew we were going to do stuff with that. But honestly, I didn't plan on this tonight at all. But it was one of those with us having this page. We figured, well, we know that there's going to be Sabres fans that want to talk about it. And we know there's going to be over the next several days. I mean, it's just, we know that's going to come out. Some other reactions we have on our page is John Hagel's in the chat again, and he mentioned he remembers one of his memories. He remembers a game at the Odd in the late 70s. And he basically says we were down 6-1 to the Bruins and came all the way back to win 7-6. And he was in the orange seats at $6.50 a seat, and it was incredible. And I'll tell you, I remember that Odd very well. And I remember games where I was in the orange seats and I got to be up in the blue seats. And I'll tell you, you think the upper deck at KeyBank Center is steep. The Odd was way steeper. I mean, literally, you felt like you're going to fall down the stairs, like going up or down. So, I mean, that was a great time when that came up. And then Josh is in the chat. He says, "Sup, boys, go Buffalo Bills." Well, sorry, we ain't talking about the Bills right now. This is all about the Sabres for tonight. So that's where we're at there. But yeah, just thinking about the Odd. I mean, that was another thing, just a little unrelated, where I remember watching that building get torn down, and that was tough to see. I mean, that was just one of those. It was literally like the passing of the official passing of the torch to the new kid on the block. And we knew Dan Dunleavy was going to take over several years ago, and he's been with the Sabres now. And he's a great broadcaster in his own right. But there is no one that's going to ever replace RJ. It's just how that is. Hagel also says he wants to thank us for streaming the Sabres the Sabres talk the last few years. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to witness all of the last moments of RJ's career, and appreciates it. So yeah, absolutely. We're happy to talk about it, and we're happy to do that every week. It's one of those things we enjoy talking the Sabres just like we do with all the other Buffalo teams. So it's definitely something we've expanded into, and we're happy to go about that. Josh also says go Sabres. So
Go Sabres,
that's good. Yep. So we got that there. There really hasn't, and just taking a look to see if there's any other news that's come out. I literally, X is like really blowing up right now.
I'm pretty sure everybody at this point is posting it.
Oh yeah. JC Messenger from Channel 2 is reporting, so he's got that.
Pretty much everybody.
Yeah, Howard Simon actually reposted the video of the RJ Banner Night ceremony. That's actually one of the things. He actually has the link for it. So we'll put it up in our site as well, just so everyone can watch it and relive their favorite memory on that. Adam Ziglis actually did the Top Shelf Where Mama Hides the Cookies with Rick Jeanneret's highlight film. So he created the cartoon with that. That was actually pretty cool to look at that. And actually Joey Hotshoes joining us this year, this fall. Actually, he actually sent that to us in the chat. So we actually have a team chat with all of us, and you got to see that. And and TSN is also reporting the story now as well. So it's just a lot of it now is just different memories that the Sabres are coming out with, and of course we're going to see a lot of news stories over the next few days, just with everything going on. But obviously, what we wanted to do with everyone on our page is give you the opportunity to talk about it. That's what we do. So we're just regular guys. We're not professional sportscasters by any means, but it's something where we want to give you the forum to, say your piece and say what you feel about the Sabres, say what you feel about RJ, and definitely have that chance to talk about it. So with that, the other thing I'm thinking is, just my prediction going forward, don't be surprised if we see a statue outside the KeyBank Center at some point with RJ. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some type of memorial that's going to be done at the arena.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I already said that they might do a funeral right outside the KeyBank Center. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes all the way into center ice. I wouldn't be surprised. And then, like I said before, they're going to do something for RJ. They're definitely going to do patches for the season, maybe stickers on their helmets. I really don't know what they're going to do, but they will definitely pay tribute to RJ for sure.
Yeah, they absolutely will. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they wear a patch the entire season. I mean, they've done that before, actually. When Seymour Knox the third died, they actually had a SHK3 patch that they wore all season. So
during the go ahead era.
Yep. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. Of course, we know the French Connection has their statue outside the KeyBank Center. Tim Horton has his statue right outside, across the street from the KeyBank Center at Canal Side. So I honestly would not be surprised if they do one for RJ in Alumni Plaza at some point, or
he definitely deserves
inside it. Yeah, absolutely, he does. Absolutely, he does. So with that, I'm trying to think. It's pretty interesting. We've been on the air. Yeah, we've already been on the air over 31 minutes since this came out.
Pretty excessive time.
Yeah. But no, what we're going to do, obviously, we're going to, break more of the story as it comes out. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things where, Buffalo sportscasting legend passes away tonight. But we wanted to at least get the story out there, make sure that everyone, is aware of it. We did break it on our Twitter as well. So we do have everything there, and we'll have more information as that comes out. But I just want to say before we wrap up this unplanned show for tonight, for what it was, were there any other thoughts or stuff you want to bring out?
Not that I could think of.
Yeah, same here. But no, what we'll do is just keep it here. We'll have more information as time goes on. Those who are with us in the chat, we appreciate you joining us tonight. And then just a couple other points I'll bring up before we go. Lee Gillette actually was in the chat earlier. He also and then Steph Jumper, who I actually is one of my personal friends, she said she's devastated right now. Lee Gillette says the same. So I know those two follow us quite a bit as well. So what we'll do, as more details come out, obviously we'll share it with you, and we'll go from there. But we wanted to at least give you a little bit of time tonight, just let you be here, just to think it over, talk about your favorite memories, all that. Obviously, you guys are more welcome to continue commenting on the post after we go off the air, and share your favorite memories with us, and we'll do the same. But what we'll do for right now, we'll sign off for tonight. So John says thanks again, guys, and good night to you. Same to you, John. Thanks for joining us. And then to everyone who has been watching, which we actually did have a pretty good amount of viewers tonight. So of course, for all of us, as always, take care of yourselves and each other. Godspeed to RJ, and we'll talk to you soon.
This has been a special report from Horns and Hooves Entertainment.